Dear friends, it was a long time since I make my little introductory talks, but probably this somehow I feel like doing it. It is introductory talk to the post practicing in nature. I was doing a few excursions to nearby very old, maybe primeval forest, and sitting there and simply doing the practice about which I already talked many times. Perhaps I'm doing it because it doesn't look that in any foreseeable future I will do any more of these excursions, because the weather became pretty dismal. It's a real fall with wind, fog, little rains, etc. It's not the time to sit at the bench in the woods. Bench will be wet, and I would be wet, and no fun at all. So I'm sitting at home and felt like doing this little talk. So you will read all about, but what I wanted to express the influence on environment doesn't have, I would say, fundamental impact. The environment have no fundamental impact, but it definitely changes the whole color, vividness, intensity of experience which happens. In this particular case, I'm talking about the environment which is very, in a sense, special. Wasn't special several thousand years ago, but now it's special. There is very few places which are, left alone, more or less left alone. It's managed. There are the roads and very few benches, and generally very few people, usually with their dogs. But generally, you still fear the noise of the roads, in spite that the big roads are quite far. Noise carries the long distance. We little talk about noise pollution, but it was very vivid how wonderful was during so-called lockout. There was quiet, but walking and something in a perverted way was missing. There was no noise. It was quiet. You hear the birds, you hear the insects, you hear the smallest rustling of wind. And there was fundamentally quiet in spite of this industrialized noises of usually vehicle or some agricultural machines. It was quiet, and the trees I rode were unusually create an unusual, not the atmosphere, but energy. And my practice was, experience through the practice, were pretty amazing. It was this easiness of connection with the restful state of mind. And I very much, if any of you tried or intend to try to do this practice described elsewhere on this site, I encourage you to find a relatively quiet place where the plants, I'm very specific, plants are big and undisturbed, and of course they emit electromagnetic wave of very subtle intensity, which our apparatus, maybe nobody tried to make such serious experience. There is some, but I'm not quite trusting it. There is an energy of them, and it somehow affects the energies of our mind-body complex, our brain-body complex. So please try it. Try it. You will not regret. You will not regret. It's not boring at all. Okay, so that's enough of this PR of forests and this type of practice. And now, though it is not such a wonderful environment, it's quite quiet in my house. No noises, since it's a rotten weather. Everything is closed, so there is no noise. Okay, so I will stay in practice of mind and not report you. You could join me and you will have your own experience. Okay, well, it's sufficient for doing it. You hopefully can do it much longer than that, but that's it. I'm ending this brief introduction. And by the way, if I look very serious, it is not serious. I simply am not smiling, which I very often do, but just I didn't. It was good as it was, so I didn't feel that smiling is a needed decoration. So goodbye, and hope to see you sooner than before. Goodbye.